Hello, it is Tuesday. That means it's our live training day. 15 minutes late, but I just got to my hotel for an event, so I have jumped straight on before I've done anything else. So my name is Carrie Postal. I am the founder and owner of Abacus Business Solutions, helping clients to know, understand, and trust their numbers. So today we are going to talk about overhead costs, everyone's favorite subject. Not. But overhead costs are a critical component of your business, and you need to make sure that you have control of them. You know what's going on with them, you know where they're at. So before we jump in, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being not very good, 5 being amazing, how concerned are you about your current overhead costs? So put your number in the comments. Go ahead and share that information. No judgment. Everybody's different. Everybody's at different stages in their journey, and people are focusing on different areas. But today we're going to talk about overhead costs, so go ahead and put that number there. Okay, so our first talking point is going to be the impact of high overhead costs. So let's first talk about profit margins. So not everybody likes to talk about profit margins, but everybody likes to have the profit. And so unfortunately, you've got to be able to talk about both of them because they are going to go hand in hand. So if you have high overhead costs, and that's going to significantly reduce your profit margin. Not your gross profit margin, because the overhead costs don't impact that. But when we're talking net profit margin, that's going to be impacted if you have high overhead costs. So it's going to make it harder to grow your business and to sustain your business. So it's really important that you get control of those overhead costs so they're not skyrocketing out of control, and that you know exactly where you're at and what that margin is. So we just talked briefly about sustaining the business. So if you have high overhead costs, it can make it more vulnerable. And it makes it more vulnerable in market fluctuations, and it makes you less competitive. So making sure that you know exactly where your overhead costs are at, what makes up that number, is really, really important. You can't just check your overhead costs at the end of the year, cross your fingers, and hope that everything's going to be okay. You have to be looking at overhead costs every single month. What's going out? What should be going out? What service did you maybe stop using that you didn't cancel that you're still paying for? There's lots of different variables in there. I remember I had one client whose office supply expense line was way out of control. They were not a huge office, and she had $3,000 to $4,000 a month in her office supplies. So we started digging into this a little bit more. And basically, there was no system, there was no process for ordering office supplies. You needed it, you ordered it. There was no approval, there was no authorization. If you needed it, you just ordered it. So talking through with this business owner about this issue, and so she goes to the supply cost closet. There are supplies all over the place. They were in people's desks, they were on shelves, they were in the cupboards, they were everywhere. And she realized what an excess of office supplies she had. And it sounds such a minimal thing, but it's things like that that will add up really, really quickly. You have to get control of things, even like office supplies as well. So she implemented a system. She made sure that there was an inventory, so everybody knew, okay, this is where this is kept, this is where this is kept, this is how many we have. Every office supply order had to be authorized and approved by the office manager, and in the beginning herself, because she wanted to get her hands around what this looked like. And then it went back to just the office manager approval. But she was able to cut her expense supplies down way. I mean, I think the next month it was like 300. And it stayed low because obviously they were working through, but it also controlled it from ever going back up to that crazy amount as well. So just the little things like that, which can be controlled, but you've got to have a system and a process. You've got to have an approval system. We're not talking micromanaging. We're just talking about not giving people free access to your wallet, basically. And then the third thing is, there's a common misconception that if you reduce your overheads, that you're going to start compromising quality and safety. And that's really not the case. It's about being sensible, looking at what makes sense for your business. What do you need? What do you not need? You're not compromising anything. You're just making sure that, those overhead costs that you have in the business are needed, are necessary, that you're getting the best price for them. And if you start shopping around, you're not necessarily going to compromise on the quality, but you're just going to get a better saving for your business. So I want you to stop and think for a second. What is one overhead cost that you think you could reduce in your business? I'd love it if you would share that in the comments. You might actually give somebody else an idea. Oh, maybe I need to go check that. Didn't think about that. So drop that in the comments. What is one overhead cost that you think you could reduce in your business? Okay, so we've talked about the impact of overhead costs, and now we're going to talk about the strategy for reducing them. So audit and categorize. I'm not talking like your main tax audit or anything. This is just you doing an internal audit of everything that you have in your overhead costs. Look at every single item. Now, if you're getting your accounting done on a regular monthly basis, then you should be able to have easy access to your profit and loss report or your income statement and go through and dig into every single expense line. This is what we do when we're doing an expense analysis with our clients, is we double click on every number and we look to see what's made up in that account line. We look to see maybe what's a service not being used, what is something that can be downgraded, what is something that could be combined, what is something that be cancelled, what can be something reduced, and just really looking through that and finding areas where you can save money. So it's really important that you do this on a regular basis. Don't just do this at the end of the year. You can't change anything once it's done. You could only change going forward. So if you do this on a regular basis, looking at your profit and loss statement, looking at every single dollar that's gone out of your business, then you can start looking to see where you can save money. Some months there may not be anywhere that you can save money, but that's okay. You did the exercise. That's the main thing. You made sure that you weren't overspending. So every single month, sit down, go through your report, and make sure that on that profit and loss report that everything is broken down into the level of detail that you need. I'm not saying go crazy and have a P&L that's 3 pages long. That's crazy. But have enough categories so that you don't just have these generalized expense lines, which are like, what is that made up of? Because that makes it really difficult to analyze as well. So have a breakdown that makes sense to you, that gives you the information you need as a business owner, just so that you can make those informed financial decisions. So the next thing is to negotiate with vendors, discuss talk to them about the importance of, getting the best prices. And so it's really important that you look at what you're paying for those vendors. Look to see if there's a better rate, bulk discount, whatever that might be. See where you can save money, on those aspects. All you can do is have a conversation. What's the worst thing they can do? Say no. Then you just carry on, or you look for another vendor. And the third thing is to look to see how you can streamline your operations. Are there any automating tasks that can be set up? What's a repetitive thing that gets done day after day or week after week that you can then, optimize? Maybe labor, maybe some kind of scheduling tool, maybe whatever it might be. Look through and question every single expense and see where you can save money as a business owner. Now, don't go crazy and just like throwing everything out, because that's just going to stress you out, stress your team out. Just go through and start making a plan of where you think you can make savings, where you can make changes. It's not going to happen overnight, and that's fine. You don't want it to happen that quickly because that kind of disrupts morale in the team, but do it slowly. Just look to see where can you save money, what can be done differently, what can be done better, how can we improve efficiency. And it might just be a case of automating something now that means as you continue to grow, you don't have to take on another employee or another expense because of these efficiencies that you're putting in place now. So we just talked about 3 different strategies. So auditing and categorizing your profit and loss, talking to your vendors, and then streamlining your operations. Which one of those do you think would be the most effective for your business right now? So put your answer in the comments as well and share. I would appreciate it. Okay, so overhead costs, not to be ignored, not to be sidelined. Make sure that you're focusing on them, seeing where you can make changes, see where you can save money. Don't let your overhead costs drain your bank account or drain your business. Make your business strong, keep your business competitive and sustainable. That way, then when market fluctuations happen, you're going to be able to ride that storm and come out the other end strong. So thanks for listening to this training today. If you know another business owner or a friend that you think would benefit from the training, I would love if you would tag them in the post below or go ahead and share it. And if you need the link to the replay, then just let us know as well, and we will get that to you. So I will see you next week. And remember, just keep looking at those overhead expenses. Do not ignore them. They won't go away.